And welcome back. We continue our coverage of the joint funeral service for 3 of the 14 learners who died in the Vanderbijlpark scholar transport crash that took place on Monday this week. It is the funeral of Datamoyachi, 17-year-old matric learner at Hoërskool Vanderbijlpark, 7-year-old Offense Vinger, grade 1 learner at Oliver Lodge Primary School, and 14-year-old Bukamuso Mukobo, grade 8 learner at Hoërskool Vanderbijlpark. Neria Hlakotsa is at the cemetery where the burial of Offense Vinger will be taking place. Neria, this burial is taking place at a different cemetery from the other 2 learners, Tato and Bukamuso. It's the visuals on our screen right now are as harrowing as it is sad. A small coffin of a young child whose life was cut very shortly. Give us a sense of proceedings at the graveside.
The mood is definitely somber at this moment. Just seeing the coffins, you can see the sadness in everyone's eyes right now, looking at a child being buried by their own parents. And as you know, they always say no parent should bury their own child. We do know that Offense Vinger was born on 11 September 2019. At merely 6 years old, will now be laid to rest here at Vanderbijlpark Cemetery. Bukamuso Mukobo, born 15 November 2012, will also be laid to rest here. We do know that Tato will go to Jacobskorp Cemetery. I will tell you that the families are slowly coming in. We see the same dignitaries that were at the funeral service. But I think what is important to highlight here, more than the pain of the families, is how government was left with no choice today but to take accountability. We heard the Premier of Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi, saying it cannot be normal that children are meant to go to school only to meet their death. It cannot be that the roads that they travel on lead them to where we find them now, at a cemetery. So these were just some of the words that were coming in. Families were broken as they spoke. You know, they spoke about how they had hope, they had faith in these little ones, how they were hoping to see the people that they will become. And if you just want to wonder how young these people are, if you look at this coffin, you can see it has a Spider-Man cover. That just goes to show this was his special cartoon. And you can see already, that just goes to show how young he was and still had a lot to go through in life. But his life was cut short really at a very young age, for that matter. But also, you know, the Taxi Association also took accountability to say, as much as they cannot turn back the hands of time or change anything, but they've heard. And from here on, they will be trying to abide by the law. They will be trying to also do right, because it took the death of these 14 learners for everybody to wake up and see that the roads cannot be a danger zone for children. It took everybody to wake up to see that scholar transport vehicles cannot be a danger to children or compromise the safety of children. So it also just remains to be seen, you know, whether all of these promises that are being made now that these young ones are being laid to rest will actually come to fruition. You know, families were also saying that this incident, they still wonder whether they'll ever be able to face the person who's allegedly behind this, the person, whether they will even forgive them. I spoke to other residents earlier, I'll tell you, who were also just talking about, you know, one parent was saying as soon as the incident happened, somebody called her to ask, how is your child? And this is how now parents are living since this ordeal, since this tragic incident that happened on Monday. We are expecting this program not to be long. Of course, there will be more than anything praise and worship, because the families have already said their goodbye eyes. The families have already opened their hearts. I mean, if you could have seen in that during that funeral service, rather, even the pupils themselves, the learners who went to the same school as these children, could not contain their tears. There were no dry eyes, I will tell you, during that funeral service at the hall before even people got here to the cemetery. So you can only imagine how everyone is feeling. Families are still inconsolable at this point. Families are just wondering what will happen. One family even mentioned that they are not looking forward to when it's now quiet and everyone is gone. They're not looking forward to the coming days, just based on this that happened. The MEC for Education also speaking there, saying nothing can undo what happened. However, change needs to happen. And the Premier saying, of course, also that, you know, schools, if only our schools in the townships were in a better state, then children would not need to go to these former Model C schools where they would have to travel for hours. So there's a lot that has opened government's eyes. This incident has opened the eyes of the authorities and those who are responsible essentially for the safety of children, those who are responsible to ensure that children also, you know, live and also manage to live their dreams and also achieve their goals or even become something in the future. So this was an eye-opener, and it's unfortunate that it happened when 14 learners lost their lives.
Neria, thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, certainly will never be an image that we can get used to. It can never be one that settles in our mind as something normal in South Africa. And we often speak about the parents being in a state of brokenness, and the parents mourning their children. But it's also the friends of the learners that passed away, the schooling community that will miss them too, that they too are mourning this. And I want to keep them top of mind for us as well. Neria, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it.